I gave my sister everything, but the one time I asked for help, she left me homeless. Now she's losing her mind because I refuse to be in her life again. My sister, from a young age, has had only one person to rely on, and that person was me. We come from a broken family with one parent who was only around till I was 5, and the other who was stuck in a cycle of addiction. Because of our situation, I grew up very quickly and shielded her from as much as I could. She obviously was aware of what was going on, but she was not in the crosshairs. I started by stealing from our mother to make sure we had food and bills were paid. I got a part-time job at 13 because we couldn't rely on our mother, and when I graduated, I immediately got 2 jobs and we moved out. I had to push my sister through high school, on top of going month to month, trying to get as much money together to pay our bills. At 19, she finally graduated after being held back a year. She changed her tune a lot, and she started working as well, and had her own place when she was 21. I finally got a shot to do something for myself, and got a degree. As a result, I got a much better job, but unfortunately, that was right before the pandemic hit, so I pretty much went from hired to fired as I was a new hire. Now, the reason I am saying all that is not to pat myself on the back, but to stress why my reaction is the way it is. I was out of work, on the brink of losing my apartment, and I only had one person whom I expected I could turn to, my sister. She was recently married, lived with her husband, so I asked if I could stay a few weeks, at most a few months, until I got a new job. It was a no. I was taken aback, but it remained a no. A week or two later, I was kicked out of my apartment. I asked again, and it was a no. At this point, I am homeless, and the only reason I didn't end up sleeping on the damn street was because I could crash at a few friends until I got a temporary job. I rented a room with a bunch of roommates for a while, eventually got a job in my field again, and am now doing fine. That said, I have not spoken to my sister since she called, messaged, banged on my door, sent crying voice messages, apologized dozens of times, tried to explain herself, tried going to my job, tried going to friends, everything. I haven't said a word to her. It's been over a year now. She recently had a child, and she is still desperately trying to reach out. She claims her husband refused to let me stay. He even reached out several times to beg me to reach out. But to me, the one time I need her, she basically tells me to F myself. I feel like it was the last push I needed to just end that chapter of my life. Update. I told my girlfriend and the friends who involved themselves or were involved by my sister to back off, or to lose my number. They do not understand my perspective, and they likely never will, and I need to get that through my head, as I tend to talk about my life as if it is a standard, but it is a standard only to me. Luckily, most people don't go through any of that. One friend kept pestering me about it, and I ended up dropping him as a friend, but my GF was apologetic, and most friends were either apologetic or said they'd drop it. I ended up writing a long email to my sister, and while I will not copy and paste the entire thing here, as it contains a lot of personal information and far more horrible stuff that I am unsure will even be allowed on a sub like this, it more or less boiled down to me explaining to her how her refusal to take me in for what ended up being a few weeks made me feel, and I detailed a long list of things I had done to take care of her. I ended up finishing my email telling her that even if I take her version of the story as truth, and her husband is the cause of me not being allowed to stay, that it is entirely irrelevant to me, because that just means she didn't fight for me at all. I also informed her I have no interest in meeting her child as of this moment, and I have no interest in reconnecting with her. If that changes in the future, I will be the one to contact her. I told her to let this be a lesson to her, as it has been a painful lesson to me. Boiled down, I have decided to move on and keep the door on the tiniest of cracks. She has responded a lot since that moment. She seems unable to accept it, but I have not responded since.